Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Market Talk. And we have joining us today John Ponsford, who is the Director of Distributor Bartlett's, and we have Tim Bender, who is the Sales Director at Hobart Equipment Division. So thank you guys for joining us today.
Good afternoon.
Hello. So I'll crack straight on with questions. So John, first of all, you guys are based in Exeter, so at the moment it seems like the West Country has kind of been spared the worst of all of the coronavirus restrictions and that kind of thing. So has this kind of helped with local projects and local work? I know that you're working on Bristol City FC at the moment, aren't you? Something for them?
Much as though we are Southwest based, we do cover the whole south of the UK. So we are working into central London and things, and so obviously we're facing the whole gambit of issues that everybody else is facing. But yeah, you're right. We're working in Bristol on actually across the Southwest actually on several prestigious projects with new hotels, and despite these difficult times, we have actually been quite busy on projects. In fact, one of the busier years we've had, which is somewhat surprising considering.
Yeah, oh, excellent. So is there any particular sector that you guys have really done well in at the moment? Anything that's grown or changed over the months of this crazy time?
Yeah, I think the beauty for us is we're quite diverse. So we don't pigeonhole ourselves into any specific marketplace. And as you say, we're working for Bristol City at the moment on their new training facilities. Just finished Bristol Bears as well on their new facilities. We're also working on Hay Castle, new visitor centre and restaurant, etc. for them. 2 or 3 hotels, lots of new schools. So it is extremely diverse.
And John, those projects that you have been able to keep going during this period, were they at quite an advanced stage already? And have you suffered delays with many of the projects in the marketplace?
Most projects will have had delays in one way or another. A lot were in quite advanced stages where there will have been a short break on site whilst manufacturers adapted to the new COVID restrictions and ensuring safe working, etc. is all in place. Others are quite early stage, so those were able to be incorporated right from the get-go. So again, complete mix, and obviously we're planning for works coming up as well.
Sure. Okay, that's excellent. And Tim, let's bring you into the conversation. Can you bring us up to speed with where Hobart is at the moment? Are is the team back in the office now, or do you still have an element of home working?
In terms of the office, we are around about 70% back to normal. We're able to keep social distancing quite well in all areas. In terms of our field teams, we are a bit less than that. We still have quite a few people furloughed who are coming back on the 1st of November. And I suppose sadly we've had to do a little bit of restructuring within the teams, looking at the outlook for 2021. I think back in July, we were all hoping 1st of July, back to normal, here we go, everyone's opening, and the reality is far from that. So the impact really for next year, and we're busy doing our plans for next year, are suggesting that we don't see a real return to anything like 2019 till maybe the end of 22, maybe early 23.
Yeah. In the meantime, Tim, Hobart's been quite agile in the offerings that it has brought to the market. So can you just tell us, I know it was a couple of months ago, firstly, the financing package, how did you develop that? And was that from feedback from dealers or operators?
It really was. I mean, we've had we've been working with our dealer partners now for many years and strengthening that partner. And John at Bartlett's is one of our strongest partners. And out of some of the research we were doing, we've always had Hobart Equipment Leasing. That's been for many years. Basically, we are the bank. We bankroll all the finance. But we extended that to 12-month, 18-month, and 24-month interest free, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just taken off. And it's something we only offer via the dealers. So that success is partnering with the dealers, is bringing a lot of business, and right now Well, it's just fantastic. The number of inquiries we're getting is amazing, and we've now extended that through our partners Foster's and Avery Burkle, so that it's ITW Finance and Leasing, and it's proving to be really, really beneficial. We've also linked to that another initiative called the Complete Package, which I think one or two people may have seen popping up in various things on the internet.
Yes.
This is where basically a customer buying through a dealer can have a piece of equipment over 2 years interest-free with install, maintenance, all included, and it's very minimal outlay to do so. And that also is starting to take off very nicely right now.
Excellent stuff. So how has Hobart managed to kind of craft these things without kind of detriment to your own operations then?
Well, I'd say, first of all, the financing thing isn't too bad because we're not having to finance or use interest rates from banks and so forth. We are basically providing the money. We're lucky that ITW are able to fund this for us. So we can do that. I think also we've tied other things in with new products, and some of the products we launched at the end of last year that maybe we lost a bit of momentum with, things like the 2-level washer. Terrific reception when we launched it, but unfortunately we launched it about 3 or 4 months before the lockdown, and so we're reinvigorating all of that package again with a special deal for the end user and for dealers, so dealers can get some cash back on that. We've got some new initiatives as well. We're going to be introducing some cooking equipment now to our EcoMax range, which again is the dealer-only product range. So that's something very interesting for the future. So we've just been working on lots of things behind the scenes. And 1st of November, our team are going to come back in. We're going to be talking to dealers and promoting this.
So has the pandemic forced you to revise your product development plans, Tim, and almost put them back, or are you taking a kind of alternative approach to new equipment being launched?
The plans are really they're planned well ahead. I mean, we're currently working to 2025 in terms of our new product planning. So whatever we talk about, maybe for early part of next year, middle of next year, was already being developed 3 or 4 years ago. So it's stuff that's coming through the pipeline. Yes, it's true. I suppose in Germany they've had to furlough people, so some of the projects would have taken a little bit of a delay, but generally, no, our product development will continue and is still rolling on as it has done. Sure.
Okay, that's good to know. Coming back to you, John. Obviously, Tim mentioned there about new flexible financing facilities that have become available in the market, and Hobart has obviously got quite a comprehensive offer on that level. Other manufacturers are also offering financing and leasing options increasingly. For you as a distributor, is that an important development?
Yeah, very definitely. We've been working closely with Hobart now for quite a number of years, and the interest-free has been a great asset for us. It's a great tool to go out and actually talk to customers in these difficult times. And much as though we are extremely busy on projects, our sort of one-off sales are, as you can imagine, are it's a challenging marketplace. They are much lower than we'd like them to be. So anything like these packages, interest-free, etc., that Hobart are offering, major advantage to speak to end users.
Yeah, and John, how have you been working with your whole supply chain to kind of get through these crazy times? Is there anything that you've been feeding back to particular manufacturers, or anything that you're looking for in terms of offerings?
Oh dear, that's a difficult one. It's obviously been challenging times. One of the things we are finding with certain manufacturers, particularly stock holding, is a real issue. So we're having to buy products actually up front, hold more products ourselves. Bespoke products is a challenge in certain circumstances. Obviously, manufacturers having their own issues with COVID, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone's having issues at the moment, aren't they? Has that been something that's disrupted you? Have your deliveries and your ordering, have they been smooth, or has that been quite hit and miss at the moment?
Yeah, in general, we're doing okay. There have been one or two issues, particularly making sure we get the right products for the right projects on time into the right places. So we've had to up our stock holding in places to ensure that we're ready for those and bring stock in earlier where needed to make sure we're ready.
Okay, and Tim, just to return to you and the complete package solution that you mentioned earlier, there's obviously more to that than just the financing aspect. I understand there is a kind of calculator that distributors can use to
Yes.
cost out potential work and so on. Can you just explain how it works essentially?
Well, that's exactly it. And if anybody clicks on one of the links they see for the complete package, it will take you through to the website and also to the portal that allows you to use this calculator. And it really is relatively straightforward. There's a little video we have which shows you how to go through the different steps. You're the dealer, you put in your discount, you work out what discount you want to give to your end user, and the calculator will calculate exactly what the costs are per month for your customer. You can add in any extras you want. So if you want to add in some extra things like tabling maybe, or a water softener, or even a little bit of third-party equipment, you can do that. And then once you've done that, you agree with the customer, you put an application, just click application for credit. You come through to Lizzie in our office here, and she will process it. Paperwork's drawn up, and it's that simple. It really is that simple.
And would you describe it as a real direct response to the kind of the climate that we're in at the moment? Is it designed because of the the economic picture?
We actually launched it originally about a year ago, but it's now even more relevant. The number of people, because they don't want to have a big outlay of cash up front, the idea of having an extended warranty built in is a peace of mind. It just fits right now, and especially those people who might think, well, actually, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 3, 6, 9 months' time. They're more likely to. They've still got to stay open in business. They've still got to have equipment in their kitchens, so they've got to get hold of it somehow. And this is a way of doing that, rather than bumping along with some old equipment that might fail any time.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tim, have you seen any kind of change in demand in terms of product type or quantity? What sort of market feedback has there been for Hobart products across warewashing and cooking?
I think it's more specifically linked to the market segments. So we have been for many years a major supplier to the public sector. So again, through all of the pandemic, we've been able to supply the NHS and the care market. And they predominantly have bought the same equipment they've always bought, so a mixture of small, medium, and large machines. I think it's the HoReCa market, the independent marketplace, that probably is feeling this the hardest at the moment. And there is a trend to go to a lower value or lower cost item than maybe the higher premium products that they would have bought in the past. And this is hopefully where the financing thing tends to level that out. So you can spread the cost of the higher priced item. Maybe it's worth doing that rather than buying a lower priced item outright.
Absolutely. John, is that something that you've seen as well from the dealer side? Are operators saying, look, we haven't got much cash, can you either give us a second-hand equipment or a cheaper version of what they would otherwise have requested?
Yeah, without a doubt, in the challenging market we're in, people are having to watch the pennies, and the natural reaction is to look for something cheaper or second hand, which is obviously not necessarily the best way forwards. In the long term, far better to have the right piece of equipment, the quality piece of equipment, and having the ability to buy it on an affordable scheme such as the scheme that Hobart put forward. It's extremely good, and so it's worked extremely well for us.
And John, have you, since the pandemic took hold, and obviously since March, have you had to change strategy or change your approach in the way that you go to market?
We're very, very lucky in that we're an extremely diverse company. We're very much service based. We employ an awful lot of engineers directly ourselves, yes, we had difficult times in the main part of the lockdown, but and in fairness, we still do have a couple of staff part-time furloughed. So we've certainly had to change the way we've approached the independent market, which is incredibly challenging. Project-wise, it is very much business as usual, yeah, full steam ahead.
Yeah, well, and now having moved into this tiered system, you know, every day and every week that passes, there's potentially another area of the country that is moving up or down the tiers. How much of a challenge does that pose for you in kind of trying to predict what will happen with the business?
Well, that's the big difficulty, is we just don't know what's around the corner. I guess nobody really does know what's around the corner. Are we going to head back into another full lockdown? Let's all hope not. But it's going to be challenging moving forwards until something happens with COVID and there's a long-term solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have you seen maybe your servicing department kind of take up any slack that may have happened with the project side of things then? Have you seen more servicing calls come in?
Yeah, certainly our engineers have been extremely busy. We look after an awful lot of important end users such as hospitals, etc. And so even through lockdown, we had to keep a team of engineers fully operational. And they have been extremely busy. At the moment, we're in a situation where we desperately love to employ more engineers if we could find them, but sadly, they're still not just out there at the moment. But,
Yes, indeed. Coming back to you, Tim, obviously Hobart itself has its own servicing division. So do you think that has been a boon during this time to say we've got an in-house team that can look after all of our appliances?
I think it has. You know, there's a lot of customers who have contracts, maybe. I think we'd probably say that one or two customers who might have had a contract have now perhaps decided not to renew a contract, are going to more time and materials. So again, the same kind of thing, rather than spending money up front, you know, pay as you go kind of thing, and if it breaks down, have to fix it. But yes, definitely, service has been busier in terms of trying to fix things where customers just haven't got the capital to replace equipment.
Oh, yeah. And Tim, John mentioned earlier on the conversation that you know, Bartlett's have kind of generally taken on more stock at this time. I just wondered, are you kind of sympathetic to that challenge that dealers may face on the stock holding front, and how are you as Hobart sort of working to ensure you have enough stocks to service the market?
Well, I mean, the majority of our products, certainly the warewashing products, come from Germany. They're coming from our factory. We've maintained a really constant flow of product from the factory. They've had no issues at all. Likewise with France for our bonnet equipment and Italy for some of our other equipment, we've had a continuous stream of products. I think probably now our focus again is on Brexit, because come January we don't know how smooth or bad that's going to be. So we are already building our stocks back up now to between 2 and 3 months stock holding, so that we make sure we've got the right products in stock. As you know, ITW philosophy of 80-20, so the big moving items, we will make sure we've got plenty of those on the shelves to get us through.
Okay. And what about communication with your kind of partners and your dealers throughout this? As you said earlier, it's hard for the field sales team to kind of be out in force as much as they would ordinarily. Did you feel you've adapted well to kind of new forms of communication?
New forms of communication. I mean, absolutely. I think we've all been on this steep learning curve. I mean, you know, we do Teams and Zoom and all the other things like it's an everyday thing now. And yes, you know, the team that have been out there working, the first thing they had to do through April and May was to make sure we contacted all the dealers. Some weren't working, some weren't too receptive to having conversations. It's been a very reactive market for the last 6 months. I'm not sure when it's going to become really proactive again. I think we're all, you know, trying to stir things up, but it's waiting for people to come back onto us, really. But yeah, we've kept in touch with our dealers. I know John down in the southwest there has been keeping, or hopefully been well looked after by our local guy down there. And we've tried to maintain contact. The other thing we've had a lot to do with is webinars. We've done quite a few dealer webinars, which we found to be very, very useful. And I think if we didn't have a pandemic right now, we would carry on doing webinars. They've been very, very successful.
Okay.
Excellent stuff. Well, on that positive note, we have actually run out of time for this week. So thank you, John. Thank you, Tim, for joining us. And everyone, stay tuned for another episode of Market Talk next week.